Hey guys, I'm Kai from Lucas Landon Royals. Hope you're doing well. Today I am going to be cleaning up some hatchlings from a lesser pastel super stripe to a lesser firefly pairing. So let's get started. Alright, so let's take a look at what we got going on here. Again, the pairing is a lesser pastel super stripe to a what once was lesser superfly, now we know to be a lesser firefly. And we know that because of this little one here. So this one is in shed. I am a little bit late in doing this cleanup video, and that's because either this one or this one was still in the egg and was in the egg for much longer than expected. I believe it was this one, because you can see this one's eye is already going blue. So because I was waiting for this little one to come out of the egg, some of the other ones started shedding already. But this one is a pretty important little hatchling. This one is a yellow belly, and it's important for two reasons. One, because I wasn't 100% sure that the father was a super pastel. Now this one, being not a pastel, means that the dad could not have been a super pastel. Also, last year the mom gave me a clutch of all Spectre combos, and so I wasn't really sure she was if she was a super stripe or a super Spectre, because she does have pastel and lesser, and that sometimes can mask the difference between a super stripe and a super Spectre. But now that I have a straight up yellow belly, I know that the mom has to be a super stripe and the dad is only a single pastel, not a super pastel. So that's cool. And here is the little bell that I was shooting for. This is lesser, so super lesser. Yeah, she's a little balled up, but it's kind of hard to identify anything else besides lesser because it is an all white snake. So we'll just leave her alone. This is the next one I'll show you. There's a lot of genes after this one that I'm about to show you. So I'm going to start with the ones with the least amount of genes, like that yellow belly, and then work my way up. So this one, out of the egg, or I should say while it was in the egg, I thought this might have been a firefly yellow belly, but now seeing it out of the egg, I still believe this has yellow belly. I don't think it has fire. I think this is a pastel yellow belly. And then next up, so like I said, it's going to get a little bit tricky now, but I'll show you this one and this darker one. Sometimes it helps by comparing two or more together. So here we go. This one over here is in shed. This one was the one that was in the egg the longest. Obviously they both have lesser. And what we'll do is take a look at this one. You can see some busyness along the side where the side and the belly meets, but not that busy. You can see some on this side, this kind of checkering pattern. It's a little bit diluted with all the genes in there. So with that said, I think this is a lesser yellow belly, and I think it's a pastel, being so light. This one, on the other hand, also lesser, but if you look along the sides, you can see how uniform the alien heads are. Very little alien eyes, but they are pretty uniform. A lot less busyness where the side and belly meets. No checkering. And this one also has this dorsal stripe going down, so that's pretty typical of a lesser fire. And because there isn't much checkering and got the uniform alien heads, I'm willing to bet that this is a specter. So this one, lesser pastel yellow belly. This one I believe to be a fire lesser specter. Now for the last three. This is pretty tough. So these are all just my guesses, by the way. I'm not an expert at identifying different morphs and different combos. I do find it pretty difficult. This one's really light. We'll save this guy for the end. It's kind of hard to hold three of them. So these two, very similar in color. This one is a little further ahead in shade, in the shed. That's why it looks a little dull, like a ghost-like. But if you look at the head, this one does have a lighter head. It is blushed out, even if it wasn't in shed a few days ago when they were not in shed. This guy over here has a much lighter head. So what I think, what I think this one is either super pastel lesser yellow belly. Super pastel because the head is so blushed out. Definitely has lesser in it. And if we look at the side patterns, they're very wacky. Even though there's not much checkering down here, but that's probably because there's so many genes stacked on. But you know, the side pattern is not very uniform. It's busy. And that's what the yellow belly does. So that's why I think this is either a super pastel lesser yellow belly, or it could be a fire pastel lesser yellow belly. And then this guy being just slightly darker, I think is a lesser pastel fire specter. Specter because, again, look at the side pattern, pretty uniform. Could be yellow belly. It does have some busyness down here, but it's not busy enough. I mean, look at how uniform it is on this side. So I think this is lesser pastel fire specter. 4 genes. And where's that last one I wanted to show you? I think it's this one right here. This one is probably the brightest of all. It is the brightest of all. Head is so blushed out. When I was trying to identify these, this was actually the 4th one I went to because it looks like it has the most genes. I was trying to make sense whether it has all the genes or not. So if we think about it, the father being a lesser pastel fire, he can actually pass down all 3 of his genes to a single offspring. The mom being a pastel lesser yellow belly specter, at most she can only pass down 3 to 1 offspring because a yellow belly and specter are allelic. So that means there are 6 genes in play. At most, an offspring can inherit 6 genes from the parents. That would be a pastel from the dad, lesser from the dad, fire from the dad, pastel from the mom, specter from the mom, lesser from the mom, and yellow belly from the mom. Again, yellow belly and specter are allelic. Since this one is not a bell, we can remove one of the lessers out of the equation. So this one has to have lesser. I mean, just looking at it, it looks has a lot of lesser characteristics. The blushed out head, so being so blushed out, I want to say that this is a super pastel. So lesser super pastel. This one being lighter than the other one that is a lesser pastel fire, I want to say that this one also has fire. And then as far as the specter and yellow belly goes, if we look again on the side, wacky patterns. Can't really see the checkering, but the patterns are really wacky, especially near the tail. So I'm going to go ahead and call this as a yellow belly. Oh, the other reason I think this is a fire is because, again, the dorsal striping. Fire and lesser when together a lot of times have this dorsal striping. And I'll show you the other one again. So this one was the one that is a lesser pastel fire specter. You can see this one, being that it has fire, also has this dorsal striping. This one that I was kind of guessing whether it has fire or super pastel. The reason why I was guessing is because it doesn't have that dorsal striping. So my opinion is that it's probably a super pastel lesser yellow belly, not a fire pastel lesser yellow belly. So that's just what I think. Again, these all have to shed out, and then once they do, take another look. I did sex them. So here's the thing, I sexed all of them probably 2-3 times each, and so far I have not seen any hemipenes. Really odd to get a clutch of all females. It's not impossible, not unheard of, but it is really odd. I did have a clutch last season that were female dominant, and then afterwards, after a few meals, when I sexed them again, some of them that were originally thought to be female turned male. Not that it turned male, but I probably just had to wait a little bit longer, or maybe they were just had that muscle tight. Although hatchlings don't really have that tight muscle strength in order to hold in their hemipenes. So I don't know, maybe these will, one or few of them might become a male later, but as far as I know right now, they are all female, which is pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna put these away. They go back in the rack, and I'm gonna let them shed out. And once they do, we'll take a look at them again. So that about wraps it up for this video. Let me know what you think of my morph identification skills. Am I on point or am I completely off? Give me your thoughts down in the comments below. And maybe in the next video, after they all shed out, we can take a second look at them. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. If you want to be notified of future videos, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, please share, and I'll see you guys next time.